Hello, Mark Palmquist. I want to do a video about all the testing that I've done this summer. So in the spring, I designed and built the Spark sailing canoe. Somebody had purchased the plans from me. They wanted the plans, so I thought, well, I just sold the plans. I might as well just build one and see how it works. So that's what I did this spring. I built it in, the hull was completed in 5 weeks. The major difference between the Spark sailing canoe and the Wingran 14 is it's 1.5 feet longer. It can hold 2 people instead of just one. It has a lee board as opposed to a dagger board. The hull width is only a 1 inch wider than the Wingran, which is 27 inches. So the hiking benches are, so the width of the Spark sailing canoe, there's a train, I should have closed the door. Hold on. Okay, so the width of the hiking benches on the Spark sailing canoe is 49 inches and the Wingran 14, it's 53. So that's only 4 inches. And if you split that in half, I'm only 2 inches further out than on the Wingran. So that's not much of a difference, but it does make a slight difference. Okay, so the biggest difference is going to be the bow, the shape of the bow, and the rocker line. So on the Spark sailing canoe, the rocker line is very shallow in the front. It's 4 inches, so that's 100 millimeters, and then in the back it's 100 millimeters, and it's an S shape. For the Wingran 14, it's an elliptical rocker line, so it's very flat, and then it increases angle until it gets real steep at the nose. And so on the Wingran 14, it's 10 inches of rocker on the front half of the boat, and there's only 3 on the back. So what this means is, because it only has 3 inches of rocker on the back, I can't have 2 people on the boat because the transom would sink and it would drag. But it's really fast as a one-person boat. So I built the Spark sailing canoe because I wanted to be able to have the capability to take somebody sailing with me. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any of my kids or my wife to go sailing with me this summer. They were all gone, busy doing things. And anyway, so let me know if somebody wants, if somebody lives in the Chesapeake Bay area and wants to go sailing. So I live in Frederick, Maryland, and there are no people here that sail. If I wanted to ask a friend, hey, do you want to go to the Annapolis Boat Show? Nobody would be interested. So anyway, it's just, it's just the way it is. So that's part of the reason I've created this YouTube channel, is to connect with other people that like sailing, wherever you are. So back to the subject. Unfortunately, with science, you can only change one variable at the same time to be able to determine what that change in that variable has on the performance of the boat. And so with the Spark sailing canoe and the Wingran, there's 3 major changes. The bow is different, the sail is different, the dagger board is offset from the center. So I can't really determine which of those 3 is showing the disparity between the top speed of these 2 boats. Because so far, the Spark sailing canoe has only gone 9 miles an hour, but the Wingran 14 has gone 13.7 miles an hour. And it is true that, so the force of the wind, it's exponential. So if you go from 10 knots to 14 knots of wind, 14.1 to be exact, you double the force of the wind on the sail. And so 2 summers ago, when I was sailing the Wingran 14, I wouldn't even go sailing unless I knew the wind was going to be between 10 and 20 miles per hour. So I lucked out last summer, and I hit that sweet spot of about 14 knots, and that could explain why I was going faster. But with the same equal wind, it just feels like the Spark sailing canoe is not. It feels more sluggish, like it's stuck, and it's not. The main hull is not able to lift or hydroplane as good as the Wingman 14. And I think it's a faster boat in lower wind conditions. So again, everything is a compromise. If you design a boat to go really fast, sometimes it's not going to really work really well in the lower winds. And yeah, so that was one of the things I wanted to do that was different, because I went sailing at the Chesapeake Lightcraft with a bunch of other sailboats, and the wind it never got over 3 or 4 miles an hour, and my boat was very slow, and it was kind of embarrassing because people were like, why is this strange boat out here with wings? But the wings really don't do anything until you have at least 10 to 15 miles per hour of wind, and then they do stuff. So yeah, so anyway, so I have been spending the last couple days trying to figure out what is the major difference. Why can't I get the Spark sailing canoe to go faster? And I mean, the two boats weigh about the same. I think they're within 10 pounds of each other. So the major difference is I last summer I had a sunfish sail, and I had really good results with it, even though, you know, as far as catamaran sailors go, I mean, you don't see low aspect ratio triangular Pacific Latine sails on catamarans. You normally see a higher aspect ratio sail with a jib and a downwind kite on a racing catamaran. So so that's why I made this larger lug sail. I wanted to see if the lug sail would push the Spark sailing canoe to a faster level. It's actually the largest sail, the brown sail. Well, brown on one side, silver on the other. That is the largest sail that I've used. Unfortunately, I don't think I've managed to get in the higher winds with that sail. So I have one more chance to try that before the sailing season is over. And the other sail that I just tried is the windsurfing sail, and that is a high aspect ratio sail. It's a low drag sail, meaning it has really good shape, but it doesn't have a deep camber. So anyway, the sail was leaning between 10 and 15 degrees to leeward, and it was putting a lot of downward pressure on my skimmers, and they just were getting bogged down before they were able to efficiently hydroplane. So they need about 5-6 knots to be efficient. And anyway, the other thing is the leeboard. For some reason, the skimmer that's always on the side that closest to the leeboard would bog down more than the other skimmer, and so it was always the port side of the boat the skimmer was like getting bogged down more, and I wasn't really sure why. So anyway, it makes me want to not use leeboards ever again. I think a leeboard is fine if your boat is not going to go, you know, hydroplaning speeds, but if your boat can hydroplane, then it's probably a much better idea to have a dagger board. So anyway, that's why I've gone back to the redesign of the Wingman 14, and I want to it's still I have to figure out the ideal shape of the rocker line, the ratio of the length to the width of the hull. What kind of chines do I have? Do I have, do I have like a deep V in the front with a shallow V in the back? Do I have a shallow V everywhere, or do I have a 3-panel bottom, like the micro scow? Anyway, I still have not figured that out. So the Spark sailing canoe, it sprays water sideways a lot more than the Wingmaran, and some of that water actually reaches the skimmers, and it hits the inner side of the skimmers. So I don't think I'm going to design another Wingmaran that has that kind of a bow. I think the Spark sailing canoe is going to be a great expedition boat. It can hold a lot of gear. It can hold 2 people. It's very stable. It turns very well. It tacks well. It sails very well. It's just I can't get it over 9 miles an hour, and that's frustrating to me, at least. Maybe not to a lot of monohull sailors. But I grew up on a catamaran, and then my dad bought me a windsurfer, my parents, because my dad just was hogging the catamaran, basically. I think I only sailed it once by myself until I was an adult and I was able to rent one. But I was always in charge of the jib. That was my so I'm really good at changing the jib, tacking the jib, and knowing when to change the jib. Of course, my current boat doesn't even have a jib, so anyway, so I'm thinking, so next summer, what am I going to do next summer? I'm going to make another boat. It's going to be the redesign of the Wingmaran 14. I'm going to take everything that I've learned from this summer and put it into the hull of the new boat. And I'm going to go back to the dagger board, and I might expand the length of the hiking wings, and I might make the center hull a little bit wider, so that it definitely will hold 2 people without having too much of a rocker in the back, which causes the boat to slow down in high wind conditions. So, oh yeah, and I tried the different skimmers. I really like the wing-shaped skimmer. It's like an airfoil shape. It has a chunky flat transom in the back, but that's mainly to increase volume and to minimize stress on the skimmer if it goes underwater, so that it doesn't pitch up or down too dramatically. So that's why it has the same shape on the top and bottom. So it's non-cambered and it's balanced. Anyway, so I still like the skimming disc Amas as well. I really like both of them, and so going forward, I'm going to sell both of them. They both work really well. I think the skimming disc Ama is less threatening. It's elliptical. It doesn't have sharp pointy edges, and it's better for a smaller boat. So I'm going to offer both of those as upgrades or additions to any monohull that you might have. The other thing I want to do before the end of this season, I have 2 weeks, is to connect the windsurfing mast in a better way so that it doesn't lean 15 degrees to leeward. And I think I'm going to get much better results with that. In fact, I might even try it on the Wingmaran 14. I might just pull that back out and put it together. That's my report. Thanks for watching. Okay, here is the Wingmaran 14 prototype. As you can see, the bow is elliptical in profile. it starts out very steep and then it gradually gets more flat. That's what an ellipse is, as opposed to an arc, which has the same radius all the way through. One of the weak points of this particular prototype is that this cutout for the wing makes the connection between the two halves of the boat really small and weak. And so that's kind of why I'm moving away from that. Okay, so this hull is very different. It's pointy, and it divides the water basically. Some of it goes underneath, but most of it goes to the side. And it does tend to cause a little bit more interference with skimmers, because the bow wave reaches the inner edge of the skimmer, which did not happen on the original boat. So I'm thinking of sort of a halfway point between this and the original, where most of the water would be directed downward and a small amount would be directed sideways, but not enough to cause interference with the skimmers. Okay, the other thing is the width of my wings on the other boat were about 54 inches, and this is closer to 4 feet. So that actually has made a difference in that the pressure on my skimmers has been greater on this boat. So I'm thinking, so the skimmers don't really become efficient until about 6 to 8 knots, and they're getting fully pushed down at about 4 or 5 knots. So having a wider hiking platform would be advantageous. So I'm also interested to hear what other people think. What are your opinions? Why is one sailboat so much faster than the other, given the three differences, the three major differences: the bow, the leeboard, and different sail? Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Thanks. Okay, so one more point I would like to make. I really thought that the pointy bow of the Spark sailing canoe would handle better going into the waves in a chop, and it did not. So the idea that, you know, most of the curvature is on the side of the boat, that's only part of the problem. The other problem is the pitching, and so the front flat part was hitting pretty hard, and so a better option or a better design would have been a shallow V on the bottom of the entire boat. That would just make it a whole lot harder to make than just the rectangular cross section that I have. So anyway, the Spark sailing canoe is really great on a lake and protected bays. It's not all that great with heavy wind conditions and big waves on open water. I was surprised that the Wingmoran 14 did so well in the waves. I mean, it's a scow. It's a narrow scow, and it actually did better in the waves. So now it makes me want to do basically a scow bow with either a shallow V on the bottom or the 20-degree chines on each side. Anyway, that is the direction that I'm going. I think having a scow bow makes sense for the Wingmoran because it does a couple things. It's keeping the front up so it doesn't dig down, especially if you're going downwind, and it does not shoot too much water sideways, and so it's not interfering with the skimmers. The other option that I could do on the Spark sailing canoe is just make the crossbar longer, and then the skimmers would be just beyond the path of the bow wave, so it wouldn't interfere.